co-host David Foster with my co-host David Ware. What's up with you, brother? How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Good, man. Good to see you, man. Glad we could put this one together, man. I know we was talking about this one for a minute, man.
Yes,
and Father's Day is every day.
Yes, sir.
You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? I really think it's every day. So today's episode is entitled "Why Fathers Matter," and so we're gonna really dig deep into this fatherhood. I think most of us watching are in this room are fathers.
Yes.
You know, we have a heavenly father, but we earthly fathers too, man. So we're just gonna kind of dig into it, man. You know, we're gonna speak on my experience, your experience, and just kind of meet somewhere in the middle, man.
And the experiences of other people as well.
Yes, you know, that's true. We can always learn. This is
why we do this, because we know we're not the only ones that experience the things that we have experienced. And, you know, to be able to try to bring some of that to the light, you know, I think is a huge part of trying to help, create a state of mind that we all can benefit from, including ourselves.
From other people, we might have victories in areas that they don't have none in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we are broadcasting live from Vegas Hype Media Network, the premier podcast studio. Got my man Dre on the board. Shout out to my man Quan in the building. And so we're going to do this thing. We're going to let it run. Dre, if you can go to that first slide. Go to the next one. Okay. Just the facts. Okay. Adolescent teen boys who live with their dads are less likely to carry guns and deal drugs. I can speak to that. I know I can say that. I mean, prayerfully, I have a son and I have two daughters. I have a son that's 31. I have a daughter that's 29. I have a daughter that's 30. And so I never experienced that, no son, dealing drugs. But I can say without the father being around, boys are more likely to kind of get into some mischief or whatever, man. And what do you think of just about having that strong father presence in the house? Because I know for me growing up, I was more scared of my dad than the police.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, something could happen on the streets, but I knew I still had to go home and face the real consequence. Like, I might get out of juvenile. I wasn't old enough to go to jail yet, but I might get out of that little trouble, but I knew I had to go home and see Pops, man.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So what is your experience about that? How do you feel about that, man?
Mine is kind of on the both ends of the spectrum. I'll start with myself growing up without a father.
Did you know your father, though? Did you know?
No. I had no idea who he was, just different things I've heard from different family members over the years. But the thing that I experienced not having a father was just that fact that was presented in the beginning of the segment. But going into life without a father, getting out here in the streets.
And the streets become your father.
Everything does. Everything that you learn from becomes a father to you. The people that you surround yourself around becomes a father to you. And statistically speaking, whatever this is as far as our outcome without having a father, it stands true. Because selling drugs, going to jail, carrying guns, not finishing school, just everything that I know if a father was present would have curved me to go another direction. I speak on that only because of the fact that I see the difference that I became a father and how I was able to be that person or that voice of reason or that stronghold like you was talking about with your father that created a different dynamic. This is, for me, how we can break the cycles.
You seen it once you became a father, how much of an impact it had.
Right. And no, we're not going to be perfect, but everything is a process and a progression. When you don't have the means of understanding about certain things, you kind of go through it through trial and error. You're not always making the perfect decisions or the best decisions, but you're making the decision based on what you understand and what you know.
Thus far. That's true.
And as time go on and as you grow and you develop as a man, then you start understanding different decisions and how they affect things that go on in your family, your children, and so on and so forth, in your communities.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we operating with limited knowledge because, I mean, truth be told, I had a son when I was 19 years old. no business in the world having a son.
Yeah.
I tell him to this day, I love you. He's 30, 32 years old now. He was born in 91, but I said, dude, I had no business having no kid. And I even talked to my brother about that. I said, it should be something in our bodies, men and women, where you can't even have a kid till you're like 30. It really should be, man, because you are really not ready, man, and you still trying to get yourself together. You know what I mean? And like you learning, you still trying to put it together. And I can only, like you say, know this from looking back. You know what I mean? And me and his mother, I was like, I was with his mother early, but things didn't work out. So we split up. I moved to Vegas, and I was like, okay, I'll be right. This was even before my son was born. Right. So I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. She was impregnated, and I said, I'll be back. Right. You know what I mean? Right. I didn't see my son till he was 7 years old. Right. And came out here and things happened, got caught up. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man.
And this is the thing with the circumstances of young men having children at a time period that they're not properly prepared for.
Yes.
I started having children when I was 16 years old. I'm still a child myself at that time. Out the gate. I didn't know. I had not a clue how and what.
God,
the only thing I know is I got a baby.
That's it. 16, still in high school and all that.
I wasn't even in high school. I had dropped out of school.
Man.
I was in the streets.
But still kind of like in that,
Yeah, and I'm in that time frame where I should be at school. I should be learning and growing and developing, but I'm in the streets,
Man.
And so now I have children, and I have no clue of what it is from that perspective of understanding the importance of how I need to be governing these children.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm just existing at this moment. And so it takes away from the child.
It really does.
It takes away from the child because those are critical times from that birth
real critical
on up to certain ages. And, that from that statistic we just saw, that's a part of the reasoning why fathers are very important.
Yeah.
Because just like the mothers are nurturers, we have attributes that these children need in order to
need that other side from the dad. You need that other side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's no, we can't dismiss the fathers. Mothers are great. We give y'all all the props in the world. Y'all get everything. Bow down.
Yeah.
But fathers, that's an essential part of every human being on this planet.
Yeah. You really need that. Dre, if you can go to that video clip, man, it's a video clip, and let me set this up. This is Pastor Stephen Darby. He's from my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky, but he passed away, I think, in 2017. But he had a sermon called "Trauma is the Gateway," and he's talking about, essentially what he's talking about here is confronting the issue of not having a dad, how we tend to, like a young man might tend to blow it off, but initially he needs to confront that pain. It's a real emotion he has to deal with. So if you can cut to it, Dre, just give us a little context on it.
Say healing is based upon confrontation. That means I must confront this. Come on, let me help you. You need to confront it. Even if the person has died, you must confront it even though they did. You have to acknowledge it. Because many times the reason why you won't change is because you brush it off. That's what I did. I told y'all years ago, that's what I did to dismiss my need for my father. I told myself, I don't care about him. We ain't need him. We all right. That's what I would say. I would say we turned out all right. That's how I would dismiss the pain of it. When I would think about him, we turned out all right. I ain't worried about it. But in reality, I shouldn't have dismissed it. I needed to acknowledge this. Like, no, I feel this. This is real.
And so, you know what I mean? What do you think about that? Like, we try to, even, I don't know if your case, like, I was fortunate enough to grow up with my father. Right. But, like, and I understand what he's saying, like, as young men, you could kind of, like, feel like, no, whatever, I'm good. But it's like, to me, it's like a void that still needs to be filled, having a father.
Oh,
you know
definitely.
what I mean?
I used to say, I didn't miss what I never had.
Yeah, it's easy to say
that was my fallback on not having a father. So I didn't feel like having going through the pain of what it felt like, not having a father.
Really confronting that, man.
Confronting it and just really acknowledging that I was in need of that. So you start trying to be that. So your concentration is now fast forwarded to where you're like, all right, I got to be that man.
I got to be that man. Yes,
I got to be, and you don't have no understanding, no clue what even any of that means. But you're just in that state of mind because you didn't have anyone conducting your life and giving you strategies and ideals
along the way
and disciplines and all this stuff. So everything now is just trial and error. You really don't listen to hardly anyone because you never really had anybody who you respected. You got your mom, of course, but moms,
it's just different.
It's just different. I mean, they're gonna beat you half to death because it's almost like
that's what they do.
I mean,
that's what
fathers,
they do.
Fathers don't have to whoop their children as much. I mean, one time, it's
you got
they
it.
get the point.
Or just you would hear their voice.
Yeah,
the mom would be quit, stop,
right?
Boy, sit down. When you hear that bass and the father's voice,
it's something in your molecular structure that
automatically
just
wakes up. Just from the father's voice, his tone. You know what I mean? It's a completely different thing. Like you say, mothers do what they can, but it's like you need that other component. I remember, and now, like I said, I didn't get to raise my son. He grew up, but I didn't get to raise him, man. And I think it's one of the biggest regrets of my life. And now I can see, like with my grandson, I got like a second run at it, but I see so much what I missed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it hurts, man.
Yeah.
And one day my wife was like, man, I don't know what it is. Like, he's cool with me and his mama, but when it comes to you, it's like he got a different look. I said, it's just something about the male bonding.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the women, like you say, they nurture, they love, but it's something about that, the male bonding. Like they see something that they want to be or see like, okay, this dude is like me. I'm a baby, but I know this is what I'm emulating.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just a huge gap, man, that fathers play. I see a lot of these kids nowadays, man, they got like baby daddy, like 5 and 6 baby mamas, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you can't be there for nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Believe
you can't be there for nobody,
Believe
bro.
me, I lived that life.
Yeah, and I know we all make our mistakes.
Yeah.
I was married to both the women I have kids by, but I know when you early, it's easy to have a baby mama or a baby daddy. It's easy because you make mistakes.
It's the easiest thing in the world to do when you live in a life where there's no father involved.
Yes.
Because there's no discipline. There's no someone telling you, hey man, you need to strap up.
You need to strap up. Right.
You need to. You can't be having children with because this is what's going to take place. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Then now you become the example.
Yes.
Now you become because now you done entered into this realm without this knowledge and understanding, and now you're the guinea pig.
The guinea pig. Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Correctly.
And so this is why something like this is so important for us to pass on, because there's still this stigma going on
right now.
It's still happening right now.
Right now, yeah.
History is repeating itself
constantly.
constantly.
And it's still, like you say, the cycle is not and some dudes think that's it.
Right.
Knocking up all these women. Like, dude, and you got to be careful who you even choose to put your seed in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You don't know what's going on with this woman and her family, man.
Yeah. You what you're doing is you're co-creating.
Yes. Yeah.
And so in that, you have to be able to try to analyze everything possible for the outcome and the results that you're looking for.
Yes.
Including what your responsibility is going to be, what you looking and willing to do, and how you willing to do it. If you don't have all this stuff in mind, then how are you going to successfully raise a child and be productive in that situation?
Yeah.
So many of us in this day and time, especially the past, we do everything out of following our Lord desires.
Yeah.
We just out here doing our thing, and we're not thinking about the responsibility.
Hey, they call it shooting up the
side.
club. We just shooting up everybody, just bang, bang, bang.
You know what I mean? And it's like you look back, and all of a sudden you 10, 12 deep. You're like, ooh, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah.
And it happens so fast.
So fast, man. And it ain't a fresh shot to the kids, man.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? It's not.
They didn't ask to be here.
It's cold-blooded.
It's not their responsibility to be something that you created.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you created me. You put me here.
You gotta put me, now you gotta mold the clay.
You gotta mold the clay. Yeah.
And like your situation, I and I totally understand because like I said, I've had it on both ends. I have children that I didn't raise.
Yeah.
I had children that I was absent for times and time. And then I had children that I did raise.
Yes.
That was in the home.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And understanding that and looking at it, I'm regretful of it.
Me too.
I really wish I could have been 100% everything.
To everybody,
But, what I learned to understand is understanding is everything.
It is. Yeah.
And love overcomes a tremendous amount of mistakes. So
Most
if you can rekindle or reintroduce yourself to your children in a way, because they're never gonna stop needing you.
Right. They never. Right.
That's never gonna be, because you gotta think about it. If I was raised without my father and it was things that I learned late, imagine what they gotta still go through. So they still need somebody who's gonna be there to tell them they love them, give them confidence.
You need that affirmation, that encouragement. You need that.
Yeah.
You do need that. It never stops, dude.
It's never gonna stop. So if you can put yourself in a position to rekindle those relationships, then we can try to move forward in a more strong and a productive manner. And like you say, your grandchildren now, they don't know nothing about your past. They don't know nothing about your history. All they know is here and now.
Right.
Oh, that's grandpa.
Right. That's all they know.
They don't feel no kind of way towards you, any of that.
None of that. Unconditional.
That's it. You know what I mean? So you do have that opportunity now to put that relationship and make that relationship become what it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? Because you're never going to stop being a father.
Never.
I don't care what. You're never going to be that. Stop being that.
It's always, always. I always say that's one job you never clock out from. You know what I mean?
No.
And it's like I had to tell my son and my daughter two different things. I had to tell my son, like, hey, man, you got to understand that it wasn't meant to go like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it went off the rails and we didn't plan for it not to go right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when we separated, I just, it didn't plan for that. And I had to pretty much, and I told my daughter this, I said, I had her, I think a couple years later, maybe when I was 22 or something like that. And I said, you can't compare the 22-year-old man with the 52-year-old man.
Right.
Look how much wisdom has transpired. And I only know that looking back.
Yeah.
So, like I said, trust me, I didn't want things to go like this, but they did. And all I can, as bad as I want to change it and fix it, all I can worry about is what's in front of us.
That's all you could do.
You know what I mean? I said, you got to give me some grace on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I talked to my therapist about dealing with the issues when it comes to fathers and your relationship with your children and things of that nature. And one of the things she brought up to me was we have to learn to apologize to our kids.
Yeah.
A lot of times what we do as parents, if we feel like we didn't do what we were supposed to do and things didn't work out, we try to sweep it under the rug.
Graze
and
over.
Act like it didn't happen. And that's not good, because what happened has affected them in a way where it's traumatizing to a point where it's causing certain behaviors and ways of thinking.
It really is. It really is, man.
And
so
what I've learned to do is to rekindle the relationship by speaking my accountability, by apologizing for what took place.
First and foremost.
I'm not going to make no excuses. I'm not going to say, well, this, and that. Okay, I know these things were there in place that caused me to be this way, but I can't let that linger into your life as far as the trauma that you're experiencing without first acknowledging
my responsibility. And you're right, and you got to own it. You got to own it. I had to have that conversation too. I own it. And you can't apologize enough, but I think that's where it starts, because they'll think like, but they don't even feel bad about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
they ain't even saying sorry.
Exactly.
And you just don't know the depth of sorry. Like, sorry, you can't say it enough. You can't do it enough.
No.
You know what I mean?
The only thing you could do is you can say it, acknowledge it, and then you have to do something.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Action.
Doing something is what's going to make everything go, okay, you know what? He is remorseful.
Yeah.
He didn't, he didn't really at that time not love me.
Yeah.
See, those are the things
that's what
that
they'll think it is.
Yeah, those are the type of things that they look at, because especially if you have children with somebody else, and now that relationship, because now you're older now.
You're older,
you're
right. You in a different season.
You don't put yourself in another position.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they can't see that part. They see what is blinding them from the pain.
Yeah.
It's blinding them with the pain, I should say. That is not allowing them to open up and see you in that way. So now you got to go back and reopen that door, go back into their soul and say, hey, look, I am sorry.
I'm sorry,
I promise you, I did not have this intent in mind. I just wanted to do better for myself, and I tried to move in the way that I thought I had to move. But I did not by any means try to hurt you. I didn't want to turn you into something that you have become as a lack of my responsibility.
Yes, for me,
You see what I'm saying?
And that's what happens. And they think, quote me, tell me if I'm wrong, they think, like, so your other situation got a better deal.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that. That's what it looks like.
That's a natural thing to think anyway.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't care about me, but he cared. I was just in a different space.
That's all it is. And the thing about it is just, that's why the communication has to be done.
Yeah.
Because
you have to talk about it.
We can only
they assuming what happened.
Yeah, when we trying to figure out something and we don't have no information, our mind is insane.
Yeah.
It goes into all kinds of different directions.
That is
so
true.
if we don't clear this up, then that is what's going to cause that rift and that strife and the resentment and all these things. So I strive very hard to create a balance with all that. I try to have all my children together.
Yeah, and communicate, because they all related. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I'm going to be honest with you. My children started redeveloping relationships together on their own.
That was good. That was good.
What that made me feel like was, they got my heart.
They got my heart, right.
Because
if anything, they got,
And so it made it a lot easier to bring everything together once I did my part. I had to put my work in.
You initially had to do yours.
Yes. Yes. You know, so once that took place, and we still got work to do, of course.
It's just an ongoing thing.
You don't get over nothing like that overnight.
We're getting progress.
But
most definitely.
To make that step is what's necessary.
Yeah, I think it's critical.
And I know, like I said, I have, a lot of partners, man, that have good relationships with their children, man. I mean, my partner, I talk about him all the time. We talk on the phone and stuff. But I always tell him, man, I admire what you are as a man with your family. Like, you've been with your wife since y'all was in high school. All that's your children
are by the same woman.
Yeah, and they're all productive.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's an example of what we're just talking about when you say fathers matter. Because when you have that consistency, that commitment, and you're able to be hands-on on a regular basis,
it makes a difference.
It makes all the difference in the world.
Huge difference, man. I commend that, brother, because that's hard to do.
It's very hard to do, especially in this day and time. And he come from our era.
You know what I'm saying?
From that. You know what I mean? So, and he was very fortunate. And even in his life, he had the same thing too with absentees to a certain degree with his father. But he rekindled their relationship.
He changed the game.
Yeah, rekindled it. He rekindled his relationship with him. As his sons got older, and his son was the one who actually recreated the communication, because his son went to school where his father's hometown was at.
Wow, how crazy is that?
Yeah. And it was, it was meant, like I said, when you're driven by God and he is in control, these are the type of things that you should expect to happen. Because you're putting in the work and you're putting in the time and you stand open.
You stand open.
When we close ourselves off, then we
close there a whole bunch off.
Everything,
That's crazy, man.
And so I like I said, I admire that brother for that.
That's good.
He's a
Hey,
great
Drake,
example.
can you go to that next slide? Okay. Now, just the facts. Women with absentee fathers are more likely to have children with absentee fathers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're saying,
Just what
like
we
the
talking about.
cycle, going on. Yeah.
All the women I had children with, it was the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the situation was so easily able to happen.
Yeah, and then we would hate for our daughters, oh, that cat ain't around.
Yeah.
But like, where do we come from?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I guess it's so weird how that's a fact.
Yeah.
And that it will continue on.
It will continue on.
You know what I mean? Like, man, these now her kids don't deserve it, and we might even feel the burden from that.
Right.
This dude ain't around, so I got to step in.
Right.
Because this cat ain't around. You
Right.
know what I mean? So,
yeah. And it all depends on the situation.
It does.
There's some good women out there that's holding it down.
It is, and I think too. When I told my first, I got two daughters, Leah and Davion, but what I was telling my first daughter is like, even my second daughter, both of them, you got to pick better quality men too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You got to, you got to really look at his family, look at what he come from. You know what I mean? You really got to pick better quality, but sometimes you having that conversation when it's too late.
Yeah.
After they done already had kids.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
And that's why this is so important, because we have to produce men like that.
we
have to be able to.
We the producing the men that's gonna get with the women.
We got to, because that's what else are they gonna draw from? I mean, you see how society is. It's insane.
It's the same.
Everybody mind is stuck on the most materialistic things you can have and find and do, and then there's very little spent on moral values.
Yes.
The
stuff that really matters. You know what I mean?
And this is where the cycle continues to revolve over and over.
They probably be like, if he checked out on me, I guess it's cool for me to check out on them. You know what I mean?
I just
that's
think
cool.
it happens naturally because you just don't know no better.
You just don't know no better.
Yeah.
That's all you know.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's
you don't
true.
even
That's
give
true.
a conscious
You
thought
ain't even
about
giving that much thought into it. Yeah,
Nah.
you're right.
It's just subconsciously happening. You know what I mean? So it's like I say, man, we have a responsibility and a job to do as well, especially us OGs. Like for me to see a man that I knew from back in the day and say he was into gang banging or whatever, and I see his child doing it too, it's disheartening to me.
It is, yeah.
Because I'm saying,
nothing has
wait a minute,
changed.
man, you mean to tell me that you knew what was happening
the
with you
consequence,
and all you barely made it out of there yourself. But then you're not gonna tell your boy like, hey man, that ain't the way to go.
I not deter him from doing it. You know what I mean? You know
what I mean?
That's just the same thing as having like generational gangbangers, generational drug dealers, generational baby daddies. It's like it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
I don't think until you zoom out of it and realize how important it is, man. Really how important it is.
It's beyond important. I mean, it's the social fabric of life.
Yes.
I mean, we have a 50% divorce rate in this world.
That's nuts.
It's society.
That's nuts.
Our society is built off of families. But now we have a society that's saying, separate, do your thing, and then however it go,
have it go down. That is true.
And so when you do that, how you going to reproduce the next generation at that point?
You took that component out of it.
Now we right back to the statistics again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's that's why I say it's something that we have to take control of. We have to just be actively involved in making sure that we always create that type of process in our lives and the children's lives and the children's lives, as long as we could be here.
And I think when you teach like your son, you teaching his son.
Right.
You know what I mean? And on down the line. They said, well, this is my father was here. This is what he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even a lot from what my brothers learned. I got two brothers older than me, 6 and 7 years older than me. My mother was with their father but left, right? And so then when my father got with my mother, he raised them.
Yeah.
And, to this day, they, 58 and 59, to this day, they still remember values and principles that my father put in them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Because their father got the picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it sends such a wave down the line. And now my brother's teaching his grandson and son stuff that he learned from my dad.
Yeah.
So it's just,
now you see how
crazy.
good that cycle is?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that's
you teaching
big.
generations.
Yeah.
White Table LV, a stylish design
an event occasion company, putting the touches on your events or special occasions that'll make them ones to remember. You can find them on Facebook at White Table LV, also on Instagram at White Table LV. Book today and make your event one to remember. Providing our photo booth services for all celebrations and occasions. It's thememorybooth.com. Let us help you celebrate those special moments, your birthdays, corporate events, family reunions, wedding receptions, and any other thing you might think of that you want to not only live the moment, but master the moment and capture the moment. Thememorybooth.com. Now booking.
That's big. And like, with us, we really are so far behind when it comes to these kind of things. I'm talking about the Black community.
Yeah, so far behind.
We really behind on this kind of things because we have been stuck in a traumatic state of mind for so long.
Trauma's been huge.
And it slows down the process so bad. And if we don't take the initiative to recreate a different way and understanding, then it's going to continue to happen.
Right, we so far behind.
Yeah, I mean, and it's done. I mean, I know this is a different day for a different subject, but it's
systematic.
It's done perfect. It's done purposely.
Yeah,
and you got to fight like hell to get the information necessary for you to just break through that.
And what you said to speak on that, I remember Pastor Darby said another thing. He said that, I don't know if you remember that era like 70s, 80s when they would give women welfare, right? And a justification was that the government can be a better father than the real father.
Yeah.
And so his point was to be able to get these benefits and welfare, the man got to be out of the house.
Got to be gone. That's the rules.
If you really wanted me to win, why ain't you helping me stay?
Right.
But you want me to be gone. That way you have a child that's ungoverned, undisciplined, unraised. So he's going out in society. Next thing you know, he's in prison.
Because we got another entity that's investment.
Yeah. And they said
with monies.
They knew the government could be a better father. I said, man, that's cold, bro.
Yeah.
That's cold.
It's a trick.
It's a trick. It's a trick. And that's systematic.
And we fall for it because
they're like, over here. You know, here. Look at this. I give you these benefits.
Yeah. It comes from the lack of development. We're not developing ourselves. And we're not passing this information on to the next and to the next. We're just kind of like letting it go by. And, we say if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything.
Fall for anything, right.
And
first thing to come along.
Everything. So that's the game that has been played on us, and this is what they understand. They know us better than we know ourselves. So
right,
they know what
and we fall for it every time. Exactly. The community falls for it every time. Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I just think that with this type of dialogue, trying to keep bringing awareness to what and how we need to understand the importance of our position. No matter what our past is and what we experienced, what we gone through, we still got work to do.
We still got work to do. Keep getting up, man.
Yeah.
Keep getting up, man, for these fathers and not yet fathers are soon to be fathers. Even if you are a father now, I mean, I think this dialogue is very important. Dre, could you go to the next slide? Yeah, kind of goes on that other part. Men with absentee fathers are more likely to become absentee fathers themselves. Kind of just what we,
I fell right into that trap.
I
fell right into it. I was absent. I was there in the beginning of some situations, and then it just some issues and things happens, and then you get gaps.
Gaps,
and
too far in between.
Too far in between, and then when you have a multitude of children, it's only one you.
It's only one you, right?
It's a very, it's just a reality. It's a very difficult balancing act that you're trying to
be everywhere. It's hard to be. You know what I mean? It's hard to be. That's why it was so crucial for me. I was telling my son, like, my dad was there. Like, I did not mean to not be there for you, dude?
Right.
That's all I know.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
having a dad. So
Right.
you got to trust me when I say, dude, this wasn't meant to happen, man.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, it's just you got to keep, you just got to keep moving forward with them and keep talking to them and keep making them understand that you love them. And, eventually, he will break down that wall and, y'all will rekindle y'all situation.
Yeah.
But that's
true.
that is our biggest, problem when it comes to the absentees of fathers is, God, we got so much work to do already.
So much work.
And then we got to try to do more work because now we've created so much damage.
Yeah.
And then now
so
it's
much damage. Yeah.
So now it's like, man, okay, now I got to get these extra tools out. And
I got to work harder. I got to work harder.
Yeah, I got to get some little more endurance now, you know what I mean? Because it's super important, man. Like the father situations is beyond a reasonable doubt that is probably the most highest necessity for life.
Yeah.
We can go on and on with statistics and showing different outcomes of when fathers are not there.
When they're not there, yeah.
I seen someone talking about this one day, how they got a statistic out there that shows the difference between two-family home where it's mother and father. Two-parent, yeah. And then you have a single father home and then just a single mother home. And statistically, they show the children are more well off if they were in two-parent or just the father.
Single, yeah.
Yeah. But
so
those
you don't stand a chance, man.
No.
Yeah.
And those are the things that, we don't have conversations about because it's easy just to say it's your fault.
Yeah, right.
It's easy to say, hey, man, you suck and you didn't do that. You know what I mean?
It's easy.
But if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, if you do have that, then that child is going to be better off because the importance of a father being in that home. You know what I mean? So
you have both influences.
Yeah.
You have both the mother and you need that, man. You know why I don't see baby daddies at, and where, like, I always say you can learn a lot from nature.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see a lion baby daddy or anything like in the animal kingdom as if they with their families, from what I know.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing with the animal world is they're in nature. Like they're doing exactly what God created them
what they
to do.
supposed to do.
So when they are doing what they're doing, this is the nature in how they live.
That's how they supposed to go.
They don't have a decision to go here and do that or do this and do that. Humans
they don't
are
have
the
we
ones
got too much choice.
We have free reign. But nature is what it is. Year in, year out, it's going to do what it's going to do.
Like they sitting there raising their cubs and you know what I mean,
teaching them and training them, so they can get out on their own and do their thing.
A baby daddy eagle or something. You know, when they got the nest, they like he's not going to be going to 2 or 3 different nests trying to raise. You know what I mean? So you can learn a lot from nature, man. They just don't make. That's too much work, man. You know what I mean? That's too much work for them, man.
Yeah.
It's wild, man.
I mean, just trying to survive the jungle is
trying to survive, man. And like especially as we get older, looking back, I think we know it's important, but if I knew like how much of an impact, I think I would have worked harder. I did something else. I just thought I'd had time to correct it and change it, but you just never know how it shapes the course of the child's life.
Yeah, it does. I mean, when you're a young person, and this is why we try to teach our children that you don't know everything, right, even though you might think you do. You just don't. It's just not no way possible.
You just haven't lived long
for you to be able to know.
You just haven't lived long.
Experience is a big tool in life, and like I said, that's why the apology is the most important part, because
that's step one.
There's nothing that can be done that can erase any of that. And I know
it can't. No matter what. Right.
It is what it is at that point. So now let's see what we can do moving forward. To really help put everything in a better space.
And I like how you break that down. Apology, step one. Step two, let's rebuild it. Let's rebuild it.
And sometimes if we don't understand how important it is, sometimes when you look at it, the relationship that you have after all that becomes a lot better.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because you have an understanding.
You have an understanding.
Yeah.
You know, now you're not under the pressure of not knowing or not understanding. You know, you now have gotten yourself into a place where you know better, so you do better.
Yeah, especially when you know better.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you can now operate in a better setting, in a better way of understanding how important it is to do. Like I tell my children, I'll never miss a time not to tell them I love them. I never miss.
That's
I'm going to tell you I love you until you get sick of hearing me say it.
You need to hear that.
Until you get sick of me saying it, and that's important.
How old are your kids, man? Range?
Oh God, my kids range from 32 down to 18. My daughter,
you got a nice spectrum. Then,
yes, sir. Absolutely.
What is your oldest? Male or female? Boy or girl?
Boy.
Boy, okay. And then the youngest is?
Youngest is female.
Female, okay.
Yeah. But, so,
I think you need to take every out, but they need to hear it. And like, who else they going to hear it from? You know
no, without a doubt.
Yeah.
No, without a doubt. I mean, that to me is what's going to help heal everything that's taking place. You know,
just healing, just that healing is huge.
Putting a Band-Aid on it. It's not.
It's gonna come off. That Band-Aid's gonna come off. Right.
Medicine in there. You
gotta open that wound up and
you gotta let it. You gotta let it. You know, heal because without it, you know, you put a Band-Aid over and it's just a scab that's still there.
It's gonna still be there. Right. Still be there. That's a good analogy. Good analogy.
And so,
Dre, do we have another slide? I think it's one more slide. Children who grow up with involved fathers. 33% of the children live in a home without their birth father. That's huge. 80% less likely to spend time in jail. Less likely.
That's a
80%.
big number.
That's almost 100%.
Yeah, that's a big number.
75% less likely to have a teen birth.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And we know them teen births, like what we said, they shouldn't even be having kids this early.
I had them.
Know, so
I
children who grow up with involved fathers. So that's how big, you know, having an involved father is, man.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at them numbers, it's everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like 33% of children live in a home without their birth father. That's like a third. 1 out of 3, man.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. So just, you know, more points to reinforce, you know, what we talking about and just to keep, you know, hitting home. Like you said, we can go stats all day.
Yeah.
It just constantly reinforces it, man.
Yeah, we just gotta be involved in a way where we're not allowing ourselves to be, you know, distracted by our own problems as well. So like,
that's true.
Say for instance, like for me, I just once I started realizing that I had traumas and issues and stuff like that, I started wanting to figure out why. Let me figure out why did I do the things that I did?
Try to get to the root of it, huh?
Yeah. Let me
you gotta get yourself straight first.
You know, that's the start of it. Because if you don't, then what you do is you just constantly keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different results. People, they say they call that insanity.
Insanity,
you know what I mean? And so when you don't make the change or try to get an understanding in a better understanding of yourself, then you don't know why you do the things that you do. You don't know what to do to correct them.
Yeah, like what's behind it? Why am I keep doing it? And it has to be a reason.
And believe me, I'm telling you, we all have that.
We do.
No,
we do.
I ain't talking to the perfect people out there. Listen.
Yeah, you're right.
Everybody has that. It's what you are willing to do about it that makes the difference. We can dwell in all the craziness that happened and all this all we want to until we make a decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something
about it. Yeah. When you get tired of it, so you know what, I'm gonna change this.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the first step is to look at yourself. You gotta say, it's your fault.
It started with me. It started with me.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm the lead domino.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So how do I change that momentum, man?
Once I can figure that, even question myself in that way, then let me see if I can find someone that can give me a proper understanding. Now I'm gonna say, listen, I know all think we don't need therapists. I
Yeah.
was guilty of it as well.
Right. But it changed your life, man.
It
didn't
did everything for me, bro. I ain't gonna
really
sit here and
peel
lie
back
to
the
you.
layers, man. Really,
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then it can help you be a better father and parent for your kids by getting yourself straight. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
My therapist told me one day, stop trying to change everything around you and change yourself. If you change yourself, then the things around you will automatically change.
Yeah, that's
and boy,
true.
did she tell the truth. I didn't. The work that I put in was the work I put on myself.
Yeah.
Everything else just start falling
Start
in
falling.
line.
Yeah. I
Because-
told my wife this last week. I said, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Right.
You know,
Right.
But that's huge, though, man. You put in the work, and it kind of made everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, like I say, if we could start with that state of mind first, then we have a great opportunity to win
Yeah.
in our personal lives.
Yeah.
No matter what your exterior look like, you know, we can pacify with making money and having jewelry and doing all this stuff.
You still
But
feel empty. You
listen,
still feel
the
empty.
undermining situation, you know, you wonder why you see people look like everything is great and everything's together, but all of a sudden the rug is pulled from up under them. You're like, damn, what happened? Because he was able to pacify, or she was able to pacify and cover up a lot of issues
For so
that was
long.
taking long.
Yeah. And
You
it's
know
just
what I
a
mean?
matter of time, man. It's just a matter of time.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
You know. And so just like it's a matter of time for it to go wrong, it's a matter of time for things to change over too when you make the
that's
decision
true.
to make that move.
And you start building that momentum up to like, I'm getting better, I'm changing it. It's got to turn around.
It's gradual. Sometimes, you know, you don't even notice it because you be so caught up in doing it. You know what I mean? You don't even like look at it and go, oh man, I'm here now. You know, this, that. Nah. You just know that, understand that there's constant work that needs to be done.
Constantly.
I always use an example like how people on drugs have to try to stay off of drugs.
Yeah.
It's
a constant fight. Huh?
Yeah, you could try to go cold turkey, but the urges and all that impulsiveness that you
gonna
carry,
get there.
it's there. So what you do, you try to find something that is going to help create a opportunity for you to constantly stay in a certain mode. So you stay in AA, you stay in NA and all those different things.
Yeah.
And I know people who's been doing that for years. I went one day with a guy because he's just like, man, come check out a meeting with me. He been clean for 25, at the time, he was clean for like 25, 30 years.
Still going. Yeah, because those urges and demons going to still keep haunting you,
Exactly.
man.
And so when I, and it was just little things like that I would see throughout my life that I started putting into my thought process that I felt was like important for me when I started making those type of decisions. That we are in a constant fight in life.
It never stops.
We have a subconscious mind that's pre-programmed already to do and act a certain way. So if we don't identify it and try to find a way to be able to turn it around, then it's just going to be a constant movement towards that direction.
Towards the same deal.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
You
That
know what I mean?
subconscious mind is operating in the background the whole time.
The whole time. It's like an air conditioning unit. When that air conditioning unit is set, that air conditioner will tear itself up trying to keep the room
trying to keep
the
right. That's
exactly.
true.
What I mean? So that's the way
Yeah.
your brain works when it comes to your subconscious thoughts. That's why they say it's important to try to recreate habits. If you're a late bloomer and you like to get up late and all that, but you're missing out on something because of that, then you got to redirect
you might have
your
to change
time
that
frame to be able to do something else at a different time. You know what I mean? So, and then takes time for it to become a habit.
Right. You got to build a habit. You got to build it.
You know what I mean? So, like I say, man, this to me is like, a great opportunity for us to be able to have information that would help give people something that we know is necessary for us to become what we need to become as men.
As men. And you building other men. You know what I mean? Like, you building other men.
Yeah, and once we become what we need to become as men, then the labels that we're looking for, fathers, dads, so on and so forth, that becomes a natural thing for us. You know what I mean? So it's very important for fathers. It's very important that we understand how much fathers matter.
A father's presence definitely matters, father. Don't think. I know a lot of cats, they get into it, about the financial side of it. If the baby mama's doing better, but trust me, your presence matters more than money. And you know, one of the things I really realized too is that I used to say, and I know a lot of cats probably say this too, is that, you know, I was on child support, right? And so, but the thing of it is, the child support can't raise the kid.
No.
That's only support, but your physical presence outweighs any money. If you broke and you in the house with your kid,
you're going to make sure y'all eat.
You're going to make sure y'all eat.
Gonna make
but
sure you
your
got clothes.
physical presence outweighs any economic. Now, you still need money, don't get me wrong, but we can't just think. And I never thought like that, but I know some cats do. Oh, man, I'm paying child support. That's not raising the kid. That's not, the child support can't bounce the ball with the kid.
No, child support creates a lot of rift in families and in relationships with children.
Yeah.
I experienced that as well.
Yeah.
I was very angry about child support.
You get mad at it. You take it personal, man.
Because
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
With child support, and what a lot of people don't understand is that child support actually is there to ruin men's lives.
Ruin men's life, right?
I
know some people that never made it back. Yeah, it's whoever thought of that, dude.
I'm telling you right now, child support is one of the worst things they
right.
have ever
I wouldn't wish
created.
that on the enemy, dog.
Yeah,
it's gonna break you.
And I mean, I know it's gonna be a lot of people say something different. I don't care. I've been through it.
Yeah,
I know what it's like.
Yeah,
and
it depends. Sometimes it depends on now. Some cats deserve to be on it. Some cats, it depends on the motive behind the women.
It all depends. I give it that.
Yeah,
but the thing, a problem, what I have with child support is the system. The way it's set up.
The system. It's
It's not set up to really create a family situation where you can have, you know, things work better for the benefit of everybody.
Yes.
It's tear down one, build up the other one.
And I told my kid's mother, I said, it's a business. You think they doing? She said, well, all I'm getting is this. I said, do you think they doing it for free?
They getting paid.
I said, do you actually think they're going to take money from me, give it to you? Now, not that you don't, but do you think they're going to do it for free?
Right. That's why you think the motivation is there. You really think they care about your kid
They do not care. I said, you know what?
They don't think about your kid till they open their phone.
Care. It's a 9 to 5. They do not. It's a business. They do not care, dude. It's
not at all.
And you're right. You had a good point on it, man. Designed to ruin. Turn it on one.
Oh my God, bro! I'm trying to tell you, only the strong can survive from child support.
My last child support check, dude. I took a picture of it like I was paying off a house or something, dog. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna remember this. Dude. Yeah, I'm gonna frame this, dog. It's serious, bro.
Yeah. No, it really is.
But that's the consequence, and I tell my sons, if you can, make every attempt to try to work it out with that woman, because once they put the dogs on you, they're not taking them off, dude.
I'm gonna go still further than that, and I talk about this quite a bit, but sometimes this is. In this society, what we do is we want to deal with the end result of everything. We don't want to be proactive.
Yes.
I say what child support should do is, if you wasn't a married couple, then you shouldn't get child support.
Right. That would cut a lot of it out.
If you didn't do no proactive stuff before you got pregnant or anything like that.
Don't try to get it on the back end.
Yeah.
You know how much that would cut out? Probably wouldn't nobody get it.
Nobody be having sex for one.
When nobody. Right.
Oh,
if you ain't linked up.
You would think about it before you do it, because now you know there's no. I mean, I'm telling you, I know this is. I don't want to feel like I'm getting off subject, but I knew a woman that used to have children just to get child support.
I heard that. I heard that.
All the benefits came. I mean, this woman, I seen her at the child
support.
So
you getting it from 2-3 cats. You getting a nice little jug.
Oh, she's trying to teach the other women. These women is pregnant at the child support office. You ain't even gave the man a chance to fail at it yet.
God,
you already trying to get the money. And she in there coaching them and telling them.
That's cold, man.
Unreal.
That's cold. Now, never mind about the father being there. You using it as a bag, as a come up.
Exactly.
See, that's cold.
And you using a child.
Yeah,
see,
that's
think
cold.
about that. So these are so many. Like I said, these are the type of things that tears away the social fabric of family.
Families, you taking away all of that. Yeah.
Right. So that's why it's important if we can, and I commend. I got a son. He has 5 kids. I commend him.
He's doing the right thing.
They're married.
Yeah, he's married.
He's young.
Keeping his feet in the ground.
Instead of him having about both 2 children like I did,
he got about one. I salute. Hats off, bro. Hats off.
You know what I mean?
Hats off, man.
So stuff like that. This is what we have to be able to understand how important the decisions that we make. Because if not, now you leaving room for all these other things.
All these other things to go. And you got all these kids out there in the world with no father. But if you got them by one, man, that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
I remember it was this chick that I worked with, and it was so funny. She was saying that her son got 10 kids, right? Different baby moms. She's like, but hey, them ain't my kids, them are his kids. And I'm like, that's the wrong mentality, though.
Wrong mentality.
You know what I mean?
Because if
you got 10 seeds out there, dude. Like,
you can't. I mean, okay, you get
nuts.
with a woman or you get with a man. He got children. She got children. You into that person.
You into that, yeah.
Everything that comes along with that person,
everything,
that's a part of you now.
Everything.
That's just what it is. That's a decision that you have to make. You can't come in there with no stipulations.
No, you can't.
You might as well don't enter it into the situation then.
And like the one, I remember the thing was on social media. If you buy McDonald's for your kid, you got to buy it for all of them.
Right.
You can't just buy it for one and then
right. And like I say, those are to me a matter of who that individual is.
Who it is, yeah.
Now, me personally, I'm not going to see a child starve.
Right. You got to be a cold-hearted cat to do that.
Yeah, I ain't going to do that. I'm not thinking about what they father ain't doing and all that. Come on.
I would just do on the strength.
Yeah,
on the strength,
you know what I mean? So that to me is just like,
that's based on that dude's character.
Yes, exactly. You know what I mean? So, my wife, she got children. I got children. We got a big family.
Yeah, what they call it, blended family. So we just got to embrace everybody.
Everybody.
We
love everybody.
Yeah.
You would think we had all these children together.
Yeah, and that's how it should be, especially as you get older.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You can't do that,
so,
man.
To me, those are the type of things that I believe is what gives us, the ability to overcome things that we have dealt with in our past. And again, understanding the importance of the fatherhood that now has to overshadow. I always had this thing I would write sometimes, and I say, "Ain't no better hood than fatherhood."
Fatherhood, right?
Because
my pastor said that too.
Now you're trying to build an umbrella over this and put your arms around it and create this boundary that can't anyone infiltrate.
Can't nobody get in. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely
and that's
true.
for me, that's the job of a father. We are the protectors.
The protectors, the providers. Yeah,
right. We do all that. We're not just stuck into one mode. It's everything that is expected of us, everything that we expect of ourselves. We have to strive to bring that to the table. You get what I mean? So
I agree.
I ain't gonna lie. I love being a father. Like,
best job in the world.
It's for me now, and I'm gonna be honest. In the beginning, I was stressed out.
Yeah, right. It will. You right. It's a lot.
I had no understanding what and how did it. So you make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, you have no playbook when you first start. You don't know what to do.
You don't. You just don't understand and know why and what to do at certain times.
And the weight that it carries. The weight that it carries.
You know what I mean? So I mean, once you can develop and grow and mature and get an understanding and be able to see things from a different perspective and get some understanding about how and what things is, you can get a grip on it.
You can get a grip on it. Yeah, I totally agree.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, man, we're going to wrap this thing up, man. Like I said, salute to all the fathers out there. Salute to everybody that's keeping stand in this fight, man, but just understand that as a father, your presence matters, man.
That's right.
No matter where you at now, no matter where you was at, your presence definitely matters, man.
That's
Righteously Turned Up Podcast.
Don't let nobody tell you nothing different.
Absolutely. The co-host David Foster, my man David Ware, and we signing off, man. Hope y'all can take this dialogue, this conversation, really pull some gems out of it. And learn to be better men. First of all, get yourself right, and then going forward, be better fathers and be there for your kids because it matters.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. We signing off. Peace.
Peace.